For today's prompt, Vintage Meets Modern, I decided not to add another page since my rings are getting quite full and I'm worried I won't be able to turn them well if I have too many pages. So instead, I'm looking for an alternative by adding a flip through on an existing page. I'm choosing a large playing card as a base and some of the scraps from my basket. And I feel like this is one of those prompts with endless possibilities, and it's very challenging for me to decide for a single option. Welcome back to Dephemerember 2023. It's Barbara from Vienna, Austria, and as you know, I'm co-hosting the series with my dear friend Luise and I, making fun ephemera in December. If you're new here, please check the link in the description with all the information you need to catch up, including freebies and other printables, as well as a playlist. So my idea for this prompt is to use this card as a base. It comes from this package here. I found this at a shop called Flying Tiger. I know they have this in several European cities. I'm sure you can also find larger playing cards online, but maybe you have a smaller journal and you could just use a regular playing card or just regular cardstock. And because I am in the situation where these are getting quite tight for the amount of pages I have, I thought rather than adding a new page today, I'm going to add a flip up. And I think this page here for my magical creature is a good opportunity to do that. So I will hinge it on top here and then it can flip up like that. And that will also make this page more interesting. And I also want to use these scraps. These all came from Luise. Actually, also, I think this one would work as well because the colors here, I think, work really well together. So those are going to be my modern elements. And by the way, speaking of magical creature and Luise, if you haven't watched her video for the magical creature prompt, please go and do that because that was just sensational with that pull-out thingy. And Effie is so adorable. That is a must-see for sure. It's linked in the playlist below this video. So my first step will be to alter this playing card. I'm going to sand down this shiny side first a little bit. This back side is matte and I'm going to cover this one anyway, so I can leave that. I have this sanding block from the hardware store. Effie, I think you want to move, otherwise you'll get the dust particles in your face. We don't want that. This is really very dusty. I should have actually worn a mask. So this is the look I want. So I want to still be able to see it's a playing card, but I don't want these to be so dominant on the background. So I'm going to take a Swiffer to take off the dust. Effie, you can come back now. Can you tell I'm having fun with Effie? So for the back side, I'm going to use a book page to cover it. I have this beautiful book here, which is a mixture of German and French. Let's just take this page. It's French. I think I'll use this side here. So now we just have to glue this onto this. I'm just using glue stick for this. We could also make this into tag shape. The verdict is still out on that. I just realized this page is actually a mixture of German and French, so that's really cool. So for this side, I'm going to add some clear gesso. I have this one by Liquitex. Apparently it has a different label now. It seems to be a lighter blue, as I've seen in a recent video by Luise. But I wonder, Luise, can you just write in the comments below, is yours very grainy? Because this one here is super grainy. Like, it has a really good tooth, which I love, but I know many people do not love. Almost feels a bit sandy. Oops. No. Don't want to get it on my book page. Actually, maybe I should do that on this side too. Yep, just changed my mind. I'll add it to both sides because I want to add some colors on it, and I think that will work better if I have it over the book page as well. By the way, thank you so much for all your wonderful comments underneath my videos so far. And I'm so thrilled to see your own versions of our prompts. It is so much fun, and you guys are so creative. Your posts just blow my mind sometimes. Sometimes I get comments saying, "You're so talented." And I never know how to feel about this comment because I honestly don't think it's talent. And I think I've talked about this in other videos. It's passion. It's not talent. You know, if I would just sit on the couch, I would not come up with any ideas. So in order to be creative and to come up with ideas, you need to actually be in your creative space, whatever that might be, even if it's just a corner of your dining table or something, which is what I used to have before I moved to this flat. You need to play with your supplies because otherwise how are you going to get ideas? Yes, of course, you can go online and you can get some ideas, but in order to come up with your own creative solutions, you need to sit down and actually play with your supplies and see what could work and what wouldn't work. You're going to make mistakes. I make mistakes all the time. So to say someone has talent, to me, is kind of like saying it comes to you so easy, you don't even have to put the work in, it just comes to you. But it doesn't. It really doesn't. I have to sit down and I have to look at what do I have, what could I make out of it, what do these words mean to me? And sometimes this can take hours, sometimes this can go over a few days. You don't see everything that goes around making our videos. And keep in mind that we are doing this full-time, Luise and me, so we have more time to do this. We also touched on this subject in one of the Instagram lives. And by the way, if you have missed those and want to catch up on our Q&A sessions, you can find those in both of our Instagram feeds. I'm just trying to raise some awareness that we also have to put in the work. You know what I mean? It doesn't come to us so easily. Sometimes, yes, we have ideas and they come easily, but I can say for myself, most of the time, I really need to sit down and have a good think and sleep over it and so on. Since I want my focal points to stand out, I'm going to add some neutral colors to my background. I chose these four: Hickory Smoke, Brushed Corduroy, Frayed Burlap, and Pumice Stone. I'll start off with Pumice Stone. This is a distress ink. The other ones are oxides. No particular reason I don't have this one as an oxide. Adding a bit of water. Putting on my gloves. Let's separate this a little bit and dip our page into it. And I'm really happy that I used the clear gesso on top because otherwise these would not move as well. They would completely soak into the porous book page, and I have a lot more movement going on this surface now, which is primed. I actually want the dots, so I'm not going to spray this again with water. I'm going to dry this. We have this, and I'm going to do the same on the back side. I'll just use the rest of this, or actually I'll add a bit more water. And I want the same background feeling for the front and the back. It will automatically look differently because this background obviously is different from the other background. So we have this. Let's clean this off. And obviously you could get very similar effects using watercolor. I'm actually not sure if I want to use hickory smoke. It might be a bit dark for me, so let's put that one aside. Let's get some warmth in with some brushed corduroy. This is a beautiful warm color. Oh, this is going to run because I added a lot of water. If this is too dark for me now, I can of course take some of it off while it's still wet. I have this now after drying it. Let's add some to the bag. I already have some here. Let's add some more. And lastly, I'll add a little bit of braid burlap. Oh my goodness, I was actually concentrating to say it right. Frayed burlap. I don't know what it is about this name. Braid burlap, frayed burlap. I didn't add as much water this time because I don't want this to be so runny. Oh, let's go through it to separate it. I'll take a little bit off. It is on the dark side. It moved to the dark side. And the other side as well. And let's see if we can get some oxidation by adding some splatters of water. So I'm just pressing the lever down very, very lightly to get very tiny water splatters. Then let's take a paper towel. Oh, this worked beautifully. Do you see that? All of these light splatters, that's the water. Oh, that came out so nice. Love that. Let's do the same on this side. I think the clear gesso helps a lot for that as well. Obviously, this will not work with watercolors. This is an oxide effect. Do you see it? All of these light spots here. It's just so fun. And I think both sides actually look very different already, even though we did exactly the same thing. So now we need to figure out our focal points. I'm going to use some images from this amazing paper pack by Luise. It's called Photo Strip Ephemera Pack. And there are so many images in this paper pack. It is so versatile. It is so much fun. This has got to be one of my most favorite paper packs from Luise, for sure. And because Luise is a sweetheart, she's giving you minus 30% with this code right here until end of January for this specific paper pack, and I will link it for you below. As you can see, I have used some of these images already in previous projects, and I already found 2 images. They're both on this page that I think would be really fun for my project. So I need 2 focal points. One is going to be this lady who seems to be having such a good laugh. It is so infectious. So this is something I definitely want in my journal. And I also like this cute little boy here. So I'm going to cut both of these out. And by the way, this is printed on regular copy paper. So Effie, we need to make a decision now which way we're going to glue these on, because of course one is going to be facing this way, and then when we flip it up, we want to see the image here. So we need to take that into account. I think we want the book page writing to be upright and not upside down. Do you agree with that? Okay. So either we do it like this, that this is the front and we flip it up, or we do it the other way like this. And then when we flip it up, the book page is still upright. I think I want the book page in the front. Thank you, Effie. I actually made that decision on my own, didn't I? So I want the lady in the front, and he's going to go on the back. So this is where our fun scraps come into play. So let's add some modern elements using these fun designs. Why don't we make her a fun pointy hat? Let's cut this. So it could sit maybe like here. So we could curve that a little bit. And then we need to decide on what height she's going to go. Well, she needs room for her hat. That's very important. So, and we could make it, you know, sitting a bit wonky, maybe like that. And then that hat could go up to here. So we just make like this cone shape. I want more blue in it. Let's cut it here. Yep, that way I get more blue. That is cute. Let me ink these parts up. That will give it a different look. I might actually cut this part off. We'll see. Everything looks different when it's inked. Then let's take this one and make a funky dress. Yeah, I'm going to cut away everything except her neck. So we could either do kind of like more of a dress shape to be like more of a triangular shape, or we could even just do a fun square shape. Let's do a square shape because I never do that. So I'll cut here and here. And then we can have it end here. Let's cut out a spot for her neck. Yes. Then I want to round these corners with my small corner rounder punch. And let's ink everything up. Then let's make her some fun legs. I want these to be just very thin stick-like things. Maybe let's cut this down because it does not need to be long at all. Then let's just cut 2 pieces, and I don't want them to be super straight, sort of straight-ish. Maybe she has her legs crossed. That's kind of cute. And let's give her some stripy tights. So I'll just use a black marker and draw some stripes. And I'm curving them a little bit because, of course, the leg is round. And then I'll color in every second stripe black. So I have these. Oops, this one goes this way. So one goes here and one goes like that. They need to be inked up. Then I want to add another vintage element. And I thought on top here, because that looks a bit plain, I could add a piece of this beautiful lace that I found on my recent trip to the Netherlands at an amazing thrift store that dear Maud took us to. Look, I think this here will work really well as a collar. So let me take this off. It's not easy to cut up these kind of beautiful doilies, but I know I'm going to eventually use all of it. Then let's cut the top part away. Yep. And then we just trim off those loose ends there. She is having a great time. We could even give her some wings. I have a cutout butterfly here. I'm not actually going to use this one, but I'm going to use it as a template, and I'll use this dark part of this cardstock from Luise. So here they are. They're just gorgeous. It's so silly. Effie, you're wondering why she's having such a great time. Well, that's easy. Because she's having a blast during Dephemerember, making all these fun projects she would never have done otherwise. So I'd like to have her hold the Dephemerember sign. This is from the German prompt list, because, you know, on the freebie that we have with both of the prompt lists, with the folder that we had both versions. And I didn't use this German version. Why not have a little bit of German in my journal as well? So I want to cut out this Dephemerember part here, and then she can hold that. So I've cut this out. I wanted to have the 2023 in it as well. And since I don't want to add it just like this, I really want this to stand out. I'm going to add it to another piece of inked up cardstock, and that way it will really stand out. And this can go here somehow, maybe like that. And we're just going to pretend she's holding it because I cannot draw hands. We'll just leave it like that. So I've just glued all the parts together here so that they don't keep moving. I have not glued this down yet, or the sign, obviously. Excuse me, Effie. You think she needs buttons? That's a good point. Buttons would be fun. Let's see what I can find, Effie. I found these tiny golden brads. I think those would make great buttons. Let's make some holes using an awl. So if her sign is going to be here, we could add one here, one here, and maybe one more here. That was such a fun idea, Effie. Thank you. I don't know how I ever crafted anything without you, Effie. You are such a joy to have around and so helpful most of the time. We can also glue down the lace. Grannies need lace, right? And Effie just had another brilliant idea. What if instead of holding this, since we can't see her hands anyway, we could have this dangling around her neck. So I have this twine here that I dyed. And we could just put this around her neck. So I'm really happy I didn't glue her down yet. And then that could be attached like that. Oh, I love it. So how do we attach it? So first of all, I think I want to add some foam tape underneath here so that there is a little bit of distance between the sign and her, and it makes it look more dimensional. I have these tiny foam squares. I think I'll have to buy some bigger ones because I only have these tiny ones. That will go on my list. If you want this look and you don't have foam tape, you can just also, I could have actually done that as well. That would have been easier to just cut out a piece of packaging like cardboard or something and then just glue that on the back. Then I'm going to punch 2 small holes on the corners. Oh no! That was too far up. Oh my goodness, no! Now I can't do what I wanted to do. Bummer. What do we do? I have my foam tape on. Awesome. Can I peel this off? I cannot. We will fix this by just actually... First we need to take off these foam pieces again. And then we will cut around this again. That will make it thicker, so that's okay. In one of your comments in one of the live Instagrams, one of you wrote, you love when you hear me say, oh no. I don't love that. But I get it's helpful to see how you can fix mistakes. And most mistakes are fixable in some way. But that did make me laugh. This now gives me the opportunity to change my background because that white was maybe a bit too white. I found this very light cardstock which looks like wood grain, and I think that's perfect for a sign. So I'll cut that out again, maybe leaving a little more space for my hole. And I'm going to mount this on another piece of cardboard. Let's put our Dephemerember back on. Leave a little bit more space on top. And be a little more careful with our holes. Okay, that's better. Okay, and then how do we do this? We put it through the front. And then cut this one shorter and put that one through the front as well. And then we could just tie it off in the back. So let's keep that tension and make a double knot here. Effie, it would be so helpful if you had a finger that you could give me to hold this. I know it's not your fault. I made you after all, so it's my fault. But you are super helpful in other ways. That is true. Okay, let's cut the ends short. Effie, are we happy with this? Oh, that's a good idea. Okay, let me get something. So Effie just had an idea to decorate this hat a little more. And he reminded me that I have these cute little star stamps. Let's see, which one do we want? I think I want this one here. I found these locally years ago. And he said it would look really cool if we have it matching with these golden buttons by using gold embossing powder. That is brilliant, Effie. So let's use our embossing stamp pad. Let's add some gold embossing powder. Whoops, oh my goodness. What did I do? That's crazy. That's a really fun detail. Thank you so much, Effie. I love it. So now we need to create the flip side. So we have to flip it up like this. We have our cute boy. And I think the boy needs a crown. Let's make it out of this cool scrap. So again, we're going to have to curve it a little bit to fit his head. And then I think I'll just cut it without even drawing it first. It's going to obviously be a very whimsical crown. So we'll just cut some irregular spikes in here. That maybe. Let's see, does it suit him? Where would that one go? I guess that would have to go all the way on top of his head, right? Yep, just like that. Okay, let's ink it up. And then we could make him a robe out of this. Let's cut it here. Let's cut a neck. Oh, I don't have a lot of space. It's going to be fairly slim. It's going to go down like that. Yeah, not a lot of space here. And that goes all the way to the bottom. We don't need to worry about his feet. Maybe his shoulders are a bit high. Going through Luise's scraps again, I found this amazing butterfly wing. Of course, I only have one and it's quite big. I don't know how she made this. It looks so amazing. Obviously, she used an embossing folder. This paper is just absolutely amazing. So I'm going to cut out this wing. Could go either way, I guess. Let's do this one. Maybe he just has one wing, because maybe he just needs one wing, because he's just awesome that way. I'll cut this side down just a little bit more. This is procrastination because I don't know what to do next. So looking at this German prompt list, I see here it says Dephemerember, Ferdinand Dragonflies and Luise Heinzel. I'm going to cut these all out and then we'll see if we can do anything fun with those. Maybe instead of buttons, he could just have these. Effie is very much into stars and he says he wants one also here on the crown and even some on the gown here. Okay, Effie. That could be really cute. I'll use the same star. And again, I'm going to do the golden embossing. And then some on the gown. So there's the sparkly gown. And there's the crown. I think this is really going to make him look more like a king. I think it needs a little bit more gold here on the rim of the crown. So I have this distress embossing pen. I can just go over the edge here. A metallic marker would be an alternative. Once it's embossed, we have this. I like that better. Looks more finished that way. I feel like the background needs more interest because we have a lot of it here, and even though my plan was to really have a neutral background to make him stand out, I feel now it's too plain for this image. So I'm going to use my Distress Oxide Dusty Concord and this makeup brush and go through a stencil. I think these circles would be really cool. It's by Ranger and Diane Reevely. And it's called Coins Large DYS 78012. So let's take him off. I think I only want a few circles and I want them fairly light. So I'm not going to apply so much pressure. Maybe a little more. Yeah. Again, it helps that I primed the background with clear gesso because that way we see the color a lot better than if we would have just added it to the card. Actually, that wouldn't have worked even because we would have been able to wipe it right off because it was a very smooth, glossy surface. We would have needed to spray this with varnish, which I still might have to do. So let's see if this is enough already. Yes, I think it's enough. So let's test if this comes off with a kitchen towel. Oh, it doesn't. It doesn't. That's awesome. So I don't need to add any varnish on top. That saves me some time. So everything is glued down. I left the wing loose. I've also inked up the edges. And I also want to give him a golden collar. So again, I'll use my embossing pen. And we could even make him some buttons. They are going to look quite wonky, I think, because there's no way and I can make these look very regular with this very fuzzy tip that I have. Oh no, it's all over his mouth. Oh, it's cute. And I found the perfect sentiment to finish our card off. It's from 7 Dot Studio. It's called Lost and Found word stickers. I don't know if these are still available. I've had them for years. And it's this one that says test your limits, because that's what Dephemerember is about. Let's cut this into smaller pieces. With every one of these pieces of ephemera, I am testing my limit. I'm trying new things, learning new things with every piece. This is just perfection. I hope you are learning lots of new things as well as you are creating. And I really like the fact that I have 3 small strips here and 3 small strips here. You can't plan these things. So finally, we need to add a strip of either fabric or paper to make a connection piece so that we can flip it. I think this one here works really well with our colors. This is a Tim Holtz fabric. So let's glue it on first on the card. So then this needs to flip out, and then we add this on top. Oh, the colors are just perfect. Look. Oh, wow, that's amazing. So we put this here and like that. So I dried this with my heat gun a little bit. What I love about attaching flip outs with fabric is how easy they are to flip as opposed to doing it with paper. One detail that bugs me here is that these holes are not inked up. So I'm going to take a Q-tip and change that. So much better. Can you see? So maybe this is also a good option for you if you feel like your binder is getting too full or your bound journal. You don't always have to add a full page. As always, Luise's playlist is linked below, so if you haven't watched today's video, let's go do that together now. Love you guys. Mwah, mwah.